Hello and welcome to the Boxing Day edition of Cracking the Cryptic. I hope that you and your families and friends have had the most wonderful Christmas. And I'm going to continue a wonderful Christmas for me by attempting a puzzle which has got so many plaudits in recent days. It's called The 12 Regions of Christmas, and it's by IcyFruit. IcyFruit is sort of this new constructor who has just burst onto the Sudoku stream. Lots of people referring to IcyFruit as festive in terms of the quality of their puzzles. And this one, well, we've had it recommended a lot. It's got a 100% approval rating on Logic Masters, 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty, and a really, really interesting rule set, and a thematic Christmassy grid with gold rings, baubles, and, well, is it trees? What are these? Pear trees even. Pear trees. And there's a sort of a song underlying it, isn't there? The 12 Regions of Christmas. Anyway, I will have a go at this for you in a moment or two's time. What do I need to talk about first? Just a couple of things. If you're a patron of the channel, then over on Patreon we have my 3.5-hour video solving through the 100 Snack Doku Sudoku pack that the Skunkworks made as our monthly reward. Those puzzles, all 4x4s, are such good fun. If you haven't had a chance to try any of them, you really should. It is a brilliant way to get a bit of experience at solving variant Sudoku. They're just lovely. They're only intended to take a couple of minutes each, and I think you get a lot of pleasure from them, as you'll see from the video I did. Other than that, if you supported our Kickstarter, you should have received already your Christmas present, which was the novella by Peter C. Hayward. He was working on it, I think, until late at night on the 22nd of December. That's how new the novella is, and of course all of those wonderful Fog of War Sudoku puzzles that accompanied that. So that you should have had that by now. I hope you're enjoying it. Do let us know. And there was one other thing. I've got some birthdays to talk about. A variety of birthdays that have they're not all on time. Let's just leave it like that. And I apologise to those of you who these are late for. But Sam, you turned 51 in the last few days, and I know this because your daughter Rachel wrote to us. And I'm sorry I didn't read it out on the day, but I hope, Sam, you had an absolutely brilliant birthday. Next, a late birthday to the 18th of December. Oh dear, Anna, from your partner Zoe. I'm sorry I'm late with this one, and I hope, Anna, you were able to have some fantastic chocolate cake. Next, Michael, over there in Missouri. It was your birthday on the 23rd of December, and I know this because your wife Lee wrote to us. I think it's Lee. It could be Leah, but I think it's Lee. And then Jared, who turned 31 on the 23rd, over there in Florida. Your partner Jordan wrote and said you'd appreciate a shout out. Sorry I'm late with it. And then a very special birthday. Now, I'm not actually sure whether this birthday, which is literally a birthday, Charlie Marie, was born either on the 23rd or 24th of December. It depends where in the world Joe sent the email from. But Joe became a new dad and wrote me an email from the hospital following the birth of his daughter. And it was absolutely what a wonderful email that was to get, Joe. And I hope that Charlie Marie is still doing fantastically well, and you're enjoying being a new father. That really was a lovely email, and a very Merry Christmas to you both. Now that's all the news. That's all the news. That's made me smile. Let's have a look at IcyFruit's puzzle, and I will read you the rules. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. Now, after that, it gets complicated. We have to draw 12 orthogonally connected regions of different sizes, which do not overlap. The regions do not need to cover the entire grid. Right. Okay, so that means we've got to... Orthogonally connected means connected across an edge. So that could be a region. But this, that would not be a region, because this cell couldn't be part of the U pentomino that I've drawn there, because it doesn't connect to any of these cells across an edge. Now, what else? Within a region, a digit may only repeat if it appears on a gold ring, in which case it can only appear on gold rings. A digit on a gold ring indicates the number of gold rings within its region. Oh, goodness me. So there's a sort of circle rule going on. So let me just read that paragraph again. Within a region, yeah, I suppose if we've got 12 differently sized regions, then we have to have some regions where digits will repeat, because there are only 9 Sudoku digits. So what we're then being told is that in regions that digits repeat in, they repeat in the gold ring cells of that region. And the gold ring cells indicate the number of gold rings in that region. Oh, it's all self-referential. It's hurting my head. A digit on a pear tree is equal to the number of cells in its region. Okay, so that the pear trees are sort of more normal, aren't they? So if this was an 8, that would be saying there were 8 cells in the region that contains this pear tree. And the 3 digits on red baubles sum to 25. So these 3 digits sum to 25. That's all the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Okay. The first thing that I can think to do here, which I'm absolutely sure is not going to be the key to the puzzle, but I'm going to do it in the interests of having something to say to you that's interesting. No jokes, thank you. These red baubles must have a repeated digit in them, because the 3 biggest Sudoku digits are 7, 8 and 9. So if these were 7, 8 and 9, they would only add up to 24. So to get to 25... one of these digits must repeat, and therefore, which digits are the repeating digits? Well, if this digit was repeated in either of these squares, it would break the rules of Sudoku. You could imagine that was an 8. You can't put 8 in either of these. So these two are actually the same. I'm going to use the letter tool to tell me that. So those two are the same digit. Now, what does that mean? So if these are the same digit, how pi do they have to be? If these were 7, we couldn't make it, could we? Because we have to get to 25. So if these were 7, that would be 14. This would have to be an 11. If these were 8, then this could be 9. Okay, so that digit A is either 8 or 9, and this digit is either, if this is double 9, it's 9 or 7 actually. That's interesting. So that digit can't be 8. And one of these 2 digits is a 9, and one of these 2 digits is a 9. We either have 9 in the sort of the corner here of this right-angled triangle, or we have 9 in both of those squares. Right, okay. I mean, as I said, I didn't think that was going to do anything, but it was what I could see immediately. I suspect the problem is that we're going to have to understand how the gold rings work. We also, what were the trees? The trees were the number of cells in regions. Let's just count those. 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. Right. Right, that is interesting actually. So let's not start with the gold rings. Let's start with the trees. Because we're told that all of the regions are of different size. Now, we can't put... These tree cells are all they're all Sudoku digits, aren't they? And they're all specifying the size of their region. And all of the regions have to be different. You can't put... Can we have... Could we have one? Could we have a region that contains... No, okay, you can't have a region that contains two trees, because if it did contain two trees, so say those two were in the same region, then they can't both be 9s, for example, because... So say this was a region, I don't know how many cells that is. Is that more than 9? No, that is 9. Okay, so let's imagine that was a region, and we wrote 9 into both those squares, which we could. That wouldn't break the rules of Sudoku, but it does break the rule that says any repeated digit in a region has to be in a gold ring, because these are not in gold rings, they're in trees. Knowledge bomb. So my first thought's correct, which is that because each of these is specifying an individual size of a region, that all must be different now. These are a set of the digits 1 to 9. It's like a hidden region in the puzzle. These squares here have to be the numbers 1 to 9 once each. Now that's interesting as well, because that means that the regions that are associated with these trees don't have any gold rings in them. Actually, is that nonsense or not? What I've just said there might be nonsense. That is nonsense. That is nonsense. Sorry, that is nonsense. Okay, I was thinking that if I had a region of size 4, for example, let's say that's no, maybe make that a bit bigger, make it 6. Yeah, my brain was telling me that these... It might prove to be true that you don't end up putting gold rings into the regions that have the pear trees in it. And the reason I say that is that obviously if the pear trees are the regions 1 to 9, then let's say there was a region of size 10 in the puzzle. That size 10 region has to have 2 gold rings in it, doesn't it? Because axiomatically there are not 10 different Sudoku digits. So it has at least 2 gold rings. Because there must be a repeated digit, at least one repeated digit. And the repeated digit, so say the repeated digit was a 5, that has to be in 2 gold... Oh, hang on, but the gold rings meant something else, didn't they? They meant... Oh, this rule set's confusing, sorry. No, a digit on a gold ring indicates the number of gold rings within its region. Anyway, sorry, coming back, I need to think about that more, but coming back to my other point, it is, I don't think there is anything that says that we could have... Could we do that, for example? Whoopsie, I wanted to do... Is there anything saying that couldn't be a region? The only thing saying that couldn't be a region is if the gold rings are necessary for the bigger regions. Now, how many gold rings have we got? Let's have a think about that. I probably should have started with this thought. We've got 9. So that's weird. So we've got 9 trees and 9 gold rings. So what does that mean? We've got to have 12 different sized regions here. We know 9 of them because they are associated with the pear trees, and they are the numbers 1 to 9. So actually, by the secret, which is something I only tell my very favourite people, but if you're watching this video 15 minutes in, you're definitely one of my favourite people. The secret tells us, and the secret is that every row, column and box of a Sudoku contains the digits 1 to 9 once each, by the rules of Sudoku. And those digits add up to 45. That is the triangular number for 9. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9. So, that being the case, the pear trees, how many cells do the pear trees regions consume of this grid? Now, this is a 9 by 9 Sudoku, so there are 81 cells altogether. And 45 of those cells are used up in the pear tree regions. And that means there are 36 cells left over for the 3 other regions, each of which cannot be of the sizes 1 to 9, so they have to be greater. So there could be a 10, an 11 and a 12 region at minimum. And that would be 33 cells, but there's not much latitude beyond that, is there? We could have a slightly bigger region than that, but not much bigger, because we've only got up to 36 cells to play with, and we've got 33 with the bare minimum. Right, this is getting very interesting, actually. In fact, right, this is great. This is great, we've done it. That is the answer. That is the answer. So, because what I'm thinking is, if there was a region of size 10, we've already done the thinking about this, but a size 10 region must have a repeated digit in it. And therefore, how many gold rings, at minimum, will that size 10 region need? Well, it's 2, isn't it, for the repeated digit? If there was only 1 repeated digit, which would be the minimum there could be, there would be 2 gold rings, say it had 2 3s in it. Well, no, actually, that's interesting. It couldn't have 2 3s in it. Well, it could do, but no, it would have to have 3 3s in it, because the gold rings are also telling you how many gold rings there are in that region. Ah, yeah, okay. So the minimum number of gold rings that we could use for the 10 size region is 2. Now let's say that the next highest region after that was the 11 size region. How many gold rings would that have at a minimum? And the answer to that is 3, because we couldn't have, within the 11 cell region, we couldn't have 2 different repeated digits. For many reasons, actually. Firstly, that would use 4 gold rings, so it wouldn't be efficient, but also, well, that's really the reason, isn't it? You could get away with an 11 cell region with only 3 gold rings if you repeat a 3 times, or repeat it twice. So there are 3 3s in the region. And then if there were, so now we've worked out that the bare minimum number of rings we could use to have a 10 and an 11 cell region is 2 for the 10 cell region, 3 for the 11 cell region. So it's 5. Now, if we had a 12 cell region, what's the bare minimum number of repeated digits we could have in that, or gold rings we could use in that? Well, that's going to be if there are 4 4s in that region. Because if you tried to do it a different way, say you had 2 2s and 3 3s, that would use up 5 gold rings. So the minimum you can use for a 12 cell region would be 4 gold rings. And now what we've worked out is the bare minimum number of rings we've used for the 10, 11 and 12 cell region is 9, because we've used 2 for the 10, 3 for the 11 and 4 for the 12. And we've only got 9 gold rings. So this is what it must be. Because if we move away from that bare minimum, because we need 12 regions altogether. We cannot get away without having at least a 10, 11 and a 12 cell region. And we've worked out if we do have those minimum sized regions, the minimum number of rings we can use is 9. So if we were to increase anything about that, we're going to break the world. And we don't want to do that. So this is huge because it means that, well, weirdly, it means that there are going to be 3 cells in the puzzle that are unregioned. It means that the gold rings are the numbers 2, 3 and 4. And very interestingly, it means that if we can find out one of these digits, let's say we worked out that was a 2, then we would know that was part of the 10 cell region, which is weird, because the 3s are going to live in the 11 cell regions and the 4s are going to live in the 12 cell regions. Now, so can we actually... Oh, and the other thing this proves is that there are no gold rings in the pear tree regions. So that region I drew earlier can't work. So perhaps... Well, okay, I see how to do this. Right, this is beautiful, by the way. I love puzzles like this. It sort of feels like you're on a voyage of discovery. I mean, I've not really put any, or I've not put any actual digits in the grid, but we're learning so many interesting things about how this has got to work. That is one row of the Sudoku. So what I'm now thinking about is the 4s. I know that there have to be 4 4s in the gold rings. Well, I could put 1 4 in row 3. I could put 1 4 in box 4. I could put 1 4 in row 7, and that's covered almost all of my gold rings. So this has to be a 4 in order for me to get to a count of 4. And now that has to be a 4 because in order to get to my count of 4, I needed there to be a 4 in one of those in this column. So hang on, what's that doing? So that is telling me that... So there's now a 4 in one of these 3 and a 4 in one of these 2. And I tell you what I ought to do as well here. I ought to try and do some delineation. I'll use the line tool because we've worked out, haven't we, that, yeah, I mean, for example, there's no gold ring in a pear tree region, so I can literally draw boundaries. These 3 digits are different, therefore they are in different regions. Because we know that the 2s are in the 10 cell region, the 3s are in the 11, and the 4s are in the 12. And these aren't in the pear trees, so all of this gets deleted. Oh, I can't really see these lines. Okay, I'm going to... Oh, sorry, I can't see the borders I've drawn. I'm going to have to change this. I'll go to maybe blue. Yeah, it's still not brilliant. I might try red actually. Can I see that better? Maybe I can. Yeah, I might try red. So where were we up to? We'd done something like that, hadn't we? And I've got to put in... so I was wondering whether that could be a 4, but I think it can be. So maybe actually I've got to think about the 3. Yes, I see. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. We now switch our attention to the 3s, don't we? Because I have to put 3 3s into the gold rings. I could put 1 in row 3, 1 in column 3, and 1 in row 7. So that's how I must do it, which means that has to be a 3. Dear, hang on. Okay, well, that actually didn't go anywhere, did it? We know the 4s are in the same region, for what that's worth. So this 3 is not in. Oh, that's a horrible colour. Let's try that instead. Oh, that's still quite a horrible colour. Let's try blue. So this 3 region is in a size 11 region. Yeah, the other interesting thing, I'll just mention this while it occurs to me, is that 11 region that has 3 3s in it also has to have 1 of every other digit. Because it's only the 3s that are allowed to repeat in the 11 cell region. So it has to have 1 1, 1 2, 1 4, etc, etc. So it's got to have a 4 in it. And 4 of the 4s in the puzzle are hypothecated to the 12 size region. So, let me think about this. What does that mean? The other thing is that there is a boundary. Let me try and, there's some sort of wall going across, because I have to connect these 4s up, don't I? Well, actually, maybe I don't have to connect them across box 5. Maybe I could... No, I couldn't do that. Maybe I could... No, I can't. Actually, it's quite interesting to think about this. How do you... Because however we draw the 4 region in, it's either going basically that way and cutting across box 5, or it's got to loop around the 3, hasn't it? That way. It's got to go one way or the other. Now, if it loops around the 3 on the top side, that would have to be... You can't go through a pear tree, is what I'm thinking about. So it would have to go something like this. And then it would have to go all the way up there, because it can't go through this pear tree. Now this can't be a 4. How many cells have I used up so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm only allowed to use 12. No, okay, so it doesn't go that way. It's not even close to being possible that it goes that way. I'm almost wondering, actually, this still feels very difficult. Because I've got to... One of these cells has to be a 3. So we're getting an automatic sort of checkerboard pattern, aren't we? Imagine it was this one. Let's just imagine that was a 3 for a moment. I've got to connect these 3s up orthogonally. So something's coming through box 5. Because, I mean, if we take the 4 around the outside, like that, then the 3 can come across the middle. But if we take the 4 through the middle, then the 3 has to come around the outside. I'm just not sure whether there's a way of doing this that isn't sort of just not guessing, that's the wrong word, it's sort of iterating towards a pattern that's going to be forced. Let me just mull this over for a second or two. Sorry about this. If you can see how it works, then well done. Maybe... Is the point that nothing can loop over the top? Is that the point? So what I'm thinking is, something must connect across the middle box. Don't know whether it's the 3s or the 4s. And that's going to leave the other of those digits with the task of reaching one of these cells. So if the 4s connect across here, the 3 has the task of getting down here. If the 3s have the task, or cross down here, the 4s have the task of getting over here. Actually, the 4 might be able to pinch that one. But is it possible for either the 3s or the 4s to come over the top here? And I just feel like it's too far to go, because that just feels like it's more cells than we have available. That's already 12 cells, and I've not even got here. And the 3 is only allowed to even be in an 11 cell region. I can't see a more efficient way of doing it if the 3 is going over the top. So if the 4 crosses the boundary, then the 3 has to go down here. But it still can't go through pear trees. So it can go, I suppose it could go through that, but why would it bother? So it could do that at an absolute minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's still, no, that doesn't work. Oh, I see. Right, it could do that, but if I switched that might work. Is that 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 11. I would not be surprised if that is how this ends up working, because that's so difficult to even achieve that. To actually get 3 3s into the grid in a way where you don't break the 4s. But let's actually go back to the 4s. The 4s may be the key here. Firstly, I've got to decide which one of these is a 4. It can't be that one. So if it's that one, which is probably the one it would be, then you could connect these 4s together very easily. You'd only use 7 cells to do that, and we'd have one more 4 to get. But again, it's the thing is, this is all already broken, isn't it? If the 4s do that, this 3 cannot be completed, because it's going to have to cut. Let me just shade that in, and that one. For this 3 to get to one of these squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It can just get there, but it can't get a second gold ring. Or a third gold ring, sorry. That is a gold ring, that's a gold ring. It needs another one, and it's got no more cells that it can possibly do. So if the 4 comes across here, if the 4s do join up across the middle box, then this is definitely a 3. So the only question left is, can we make the 4s work by joining them up other than through the middle box? So then the 3 could come through the middle box. No, well, we don't. Well, one of these would have to be the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is horrible. It's just impossible. There's no way you can do it. There's no way you can do it. Because to loop the 4, if the 4 doesn't go through the middle box, but it's got to pick up 4 gold rings, we could take that one. That's the nearest to this 4, so we could do that, for example. And if the 4's not coming through the middle box, I've now got to pick up one of these without making the connection across the middle, so the 3 can come down across here. So I have got to come that way. There's no other way of doing it. So I could get that one. Or I could get that one, which might be so that's probably the most natural shape, the most efficient shape if we can't cut across the middle box. We're going to have to do something like that. That feels like it's way more than 12 cells. 6, 7, 8. It's not even close. It's not even close. So the 4 must cut across the middle box, and therefore the 3 has to get one of these and another gold ring within 11 cells, and there's only one way you can do that. So it's got to do that. And that means... Well, what does that mean? That means this is a 2. It means this is a 4. That's a purple. We're going to have to give that a colour. We'll make that green. And whoa! Oh, hang on. Maybe I've messed this up again. Because that. This can't work, can it? I'm now trying to... Oh, can the 4 loop over the top of the 2? Would that work? I'm now trying to see... Oh, maybe the 2 can loop around the outside. Oh, that's what it'll be. Yeah, no, that feels better. So if the 2 does that, mate, how many cells is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's what it's going to be. So the 2, this is going to be a 2, and we're going to loop round somehow to pick up this square as a 2. Because if that square's a 2, let's just deal with that as a possibility. That's now a 4. These 4s have to connect. So the 2 has to go round. Well, the 2 would have to go all the way round there. That's simply far too far, isn't it? So that's the 4, that's the 2, that's purple, that's green. How do you connect these up? This is it's a sort of checkerboard again. It's like a meta checkerboard, isn't it? So this 4, we could do that is one option. But I have a feeling that's far too many cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's way too many. So the only way of doing it is to actually loop this round. Although we've got to be careful. It is looping round like that, which pushes this up, which pushes this up. We've got to be efficient in getting this 2 to here. But I don't know, for example, at what point it's going to kink in. And all of these options use 3 more cells. So we don't know what that's doing. We know... Well, what else do we know? That's a 1. The pear tree does not overlap with the 3s and 4s regions. So there we go. Sorry, I didn't see that. So so this is not a... Oh, hang on. I've got a problem. Oh, bobbins. No, I thought my logic was sound. No, I've got a 5 at least here. That cannot work, can it? 1? I'm not sure. That is at least a 5, and so it's going to come this way, isn't it? As a horrible colour choice. Let's go orange, which means this has to go there. But now this is going to start polluting everything. I'm far from convinced this can work, actually. It's not this square is... Oh, this is very difficult. This is very difficult. This square is not part of another pear tree. And it's not part of the 4 or the 3 or the 2 region. So that needs its own colour. And it can't be a 1, so it's at least a 2. So maybe can the 4 go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe. Oh yeah, okay, maybe. So maybe the point is that this 4 doesn't go through there. It actually goes over the top of this, maybe. Yeah, because the orange here has to take one of these 2 cells. And that stops this purple connecting to this on its southern side. So the 4 must go up. but now the 4 can't go up anymore. Oh, I see. Now I can see how it must work now. So these two have to connect. This can't be a 1, so that's got to be at least a 2. The 5 must be at least a 5, so that forces that to there. The 4 still has to connect, so it still have to push this out here. But this can just work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this is not broken. That is a 5. This is a 2. And the 2... And now the 2, which has 3 more cells available to connect, goes around there. Bingo. There we go. There we go. We've done it. That's absolutely brilliant. That is such a beautiful setting that you can construct this sort of television in the middle of the grid from those clues, and it works so beautifully. I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, what I don't know though is what's that going to mean for my regions that oh no. See, I don't like the red anymore. I've gone off the red. I think I'm going to go back to black. Let's go back this way, because I can now delineate my 3 region completely. I can delineate my 4 region completely. Yeah, this is okay, I think, isn't it? It's not great, but it's not terrible. Boom, boom. That's my 2 region there. And right, so what are we learning now? We're learning that you can't... Oh, right, where is the 5 in box 5? You can't repeat the 5 in the region unless it's in a gold ring, which it most certainly isn't. The 5 is never in a gold ring. So the 5 doesn't go in those cells and doesn't go in those cells, so the 5 goes there. Okay, and we've used up a pear tree that's 1, a pear tree that's 2, a pear tree that's 5. Okay. So what I ought to do, I've got 6 pear trees left. I am going to do this, actually. I'm going to label the sizes that these pear trees have to be, which is a 3, a 4, a 6, a 7, an 8, and a 9. Let's just see if we can see. Some of these definitely can't be certain options because of Sudoku. This one sees a 3 and a 4. That one sees a 3 and a 4. It sees that one, doesn't it? My phone is buzzing. Oh goodness, I don't know what that's about. Sorry, I've just got a message on my phone. Okay, I'll have to deal with that in a bit. That I was going to say that can't be a 5, but it never could be a 5. Okay, this was not a good way to go, was it? Doesn't do anything. Oh, I don't know. So what do we do now then? We've got to say probably well, yes. Oh, I see. Okay, so where is 2 in column 8? I can use this logic, can't I? So 2 in column 8 can't be in its own region again, because it would need to be in a gold ring, and it can't be in these squares by Sudoku. So there must be a 2 in column 8. So that's a 2. And that means 2 is there in column 9 or box 6, whichever way you like to think about that. Okay, so maybe we think about 2, do we, in this 4 region? I've got to have a 2 in it. This is getting horrible. I think that, well, thankfully, I think there is a point, a cell that can be a 2, because the 4 region has all the other Sudoku digits in it, so it's got to have a 2 in it. So where's the 2 in the 3 region? It's not in those cells. It's not in that cell. It's not in that. It's there. It's exactly there. So how many 2s have we got? Loads. We've got 7 2s in the grid. Yes, 8 2s. 9 2s. All the 2s are done. Right, so this is what we do now. We've got to think about 3s and 4s in the regions that we've already... Maybe 3s in purple, maybe. I think it's got 2 options. I think it can be either of those 2 squares. I'm not certain about that, but that seems to be what the world's telling me about. What about, okay, what about 4s in blue? Or no, what about 4s in green, actually? 4s in green. Yeah, 4s in green, that's the only position. So now double click the 4s. We've got 5 4s in the grid. There's a 4 down here. Now, we do have to put a 4 in blue, which can't go there, or there, or there, or... Oh, I see, 4 in blue is just placed. I didn't see that. So 4 in blue gets placed. We can... No, we can't get... I can't put 4 into box 7. I thought I could, but I can't. Have I got... I've got 6 4s. And... Sorry, I'm just trying to work out what's going on. I know there's a 3 in one of those squares for what that's worth. Which might be nothing, but I'm just seeing it. Because I have to put a 3 in a pear tree. These squares are 6, 7, 8 and 9. I mean, I know there's a 4 in one of those 2 cells. I don't know if that's helpful. Probably not quite helpful enough. 4 is in one of these 3 cells. 3 is in one of those cells, actually. In column 1. Where's this double? Oh, see, I've really not got many 3s in the grid at all. Which feels strange, doesn't it, given I was actually able to position 3 of them. Can we do anything clever with 3s? Where do we have to put 3s? We have to put 3s in purple. Oh yeah, I've already looked at this. There's 2 positions, isn't there? One of those 2 is a 3. Maybe I will pencil mark that so I remind myself I've done it. What about 3 in green then? Not in those squares. Is there an issue with... Not in that square? I don't think this is working. Don't think this is working. Ah! Oh, nearly. That's interesting. If you put a 3 here in purple, then you get to place 3 in the middle box, look. Because you couldn't repeat the 3 in purple. So, can I do something with that? Is it the same logic again? So if that's a 3, that's a 3. Oh, that feels so. That almost feels like I'm meant to be appreciating something really profound as a result of that, but I can't see how to do it. Okay, let's think about something else. Where I don't know. It's some sort of weird irregular Sudoku now, isn't it? Here's another point I've just come up with. If there is a 3 in one of those 2 squares, can that pear tree ever be a 3? That's the answer to that's no, isn't it? Because there's a 3 in one of those for sure. They both see that cell. That's quite cool. So now 3 in a pear tree is placed up here. I don't get a 3 in the corner. I get a 4 in the corner. So that's not a 4 over there. So 4 in a pear tree is in one of these squares. And that, oh, no, that's not true. No, that is true. That's just Sudoku. So that's not a 4. Well, which we could have seen another way. I've got 3 pear trees that have big digits in them. 3 in... Well, can we do 3? No, we can't quite do it. But 3 in box 6 is now one of those 2 squares. Okay, so I've got to get rid of the weird pencil mark there. So 3 is in one of those 2 squares. But we know if that's a 3, that's a 3. And if that's a 3, that's a 3. So there's a weird sort of displacement mechanism going on between these 3s. 3 in box 9 is restricted. Is it? Oh, no, that's it. There we go. 3 in box 9. Oh, this is so clever. 3 in box 9 is in one of these squares, so it's appeared in green. So it can't be there. So in box 6 it's got to be here, which means it can't repeat there, so it goes there. And now 3 in box 2 is placed. Good grief. And I do get a 3 in the corner. Because there's a 3 here, that's knocking that 3 out. So that's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight. Losing its religion. So that's 4 there. So this is now 4. And that's a pear-treed 4. This is great, isn't it? So now I've done all the 4s. Have I done all the 3s? No. Oh, yes, I have. I have done them all. I have done them all. So I've done all the 2s, all the 3s, all the 4s. Sounds like a bingo calling card, doesn't it? Alright, so what does that mean? Don't know yet. Okay. I've not got anything here, I'm just trying to think about this. A, which is my bauble, my Christmas bauble, is in one of those squares now. So A is in one of those squares. Can I do anything with that? I don't think so. If A's got to appear in green and blue. What else do we know then? We know that... So this 3... that has to take... That's going to take 3 cells, isn't it? And it can't bump into this because it can't have pear trees sharing regions. Alright, that's quite interesting for this one. Because that one, let's just give this a yellow for a minute. That's at least a 6-cell region. But it can't have 2 2s in it, or it would need 2 gold rings. So it could only take that many cells down column 9. It couldn't take that one. So it must take that one, for what that's worth. Now this 3 has to go up somewhere now. It could take that square, but it can't take any more. But we don't know where it grows. Maybe I've got to think about 5s then. Have I got 2 5s in the grid? I've got 2 5s in the grid. So there's a 5 up here. Whoops, not. I want to put 5 in. Oh, yeah, okay. Where's 5 in the bottom row? That's a very easy question. Let's put that in. 5 goes in there. Has that done anything? I think that's done nothing, actually. Well, in this row now, 1 and 6 have to be in these squares. That seems clear, doesn't it? So 1 is in one of those squares. Have we got 1 1? Yeah, we've only got 1 1 in the grid. So that's not great. It's nearly great, but it's not quite great enough. Can we pull another trick with this one that we did with that one? Is there some sort of issue that we've got to think about there? That's clock's going, isn't it? I don't know what to do. It's infuriating. Okay. How do we do this then? I've got no good ideas here. It might be. Oh, nearly. I thought 5 in purple was going to be restricted when I suddenly had that thought. And it can't go there or there. But I still think it's got 2 possibilities, maybe. Maybe, yeah, maybe that's right. Bother. Oh, okay. 5 in box 7 is locked into one of 2 places. That feels underwhelming, doesn't it? One in box 1 is in one of 2 positions. So that's almost quite interesting as well. What's the maximum size of this then? Because suddenly thinking if this yeah, okay, that's interesting. Sorry. But look at this column, because it can't have 2 2s in it, and it can't bump into another pear tree. That can't be higher than 7. So that's 6 or 7. Is that interesting or just... I don't know. I've got to put A. A is a bauble number. In fact, that's true. A is a bauble number, and whatever that is a bauble number. And they all have to be in pear trees somehow. Is there some restriction on which pear tree A could be in? A is in one of those 3 cells for sure. So if A was there, that would be an A, wouldn't it? By Sudoku. And then that would be an A by Sudoku. Okay, that is interesting. So that doesn't work, because then I can't put A in blue. So let me just explain what I did there. I was thinking about whether this is the A pear tree. So let's make this A for a moment. Now by Sudoku, I think I'm now saying that's A. Then by Sudoku in this box, we're saying this is A. So the pinch or the pattern of A's in the grid is like this. All of these highlighted cells contain an A. One of these 2 contains an A. Now ask the question now, where is A going in the blue region? And I don't think it can go in anywhere. So that's wrong. So this is not A. This is something else. Which means A is in one of those 2 squares. So let's see if we can pull that trick again. Where's the main restriction going to be? If that's A, well, okay, let's try that. If that's A, we've still got the task of putting A in blue, and the only place it could go is here. So A would be here, here, here. In box 5 now, where is it? It's got to be in one of those two cells, which means in box 4 it's in that cell. Now what's the challenge with this? A's got to appear in it's already in purple, isn't it? It's got to appear in green somewhere. I think it's got options actually. I fear it has options. Where is A in this paradigm? In row 3, it's in one of those squares. Okay, yeah, and you end up with an X-wing of A's, which is fine. Okay, so that was it wasn't a bad question. The thing about this being A is I don't even want to ask that question because I can't see what it impacts upon at all. So I think we're just left with one of these being A. So one of these is quite a big number. All right, let's try something different then. I'm just wondering how much space there is in the top of the grid for all of these regions that we've got to put in. That's not an enormous amount of space. Because I'm thinking, how is it possible this just runs round the corner somehow? That was a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's no repeated digits there, is there? Well, there probably isn't. So this 4 could run down here, which would leave us with space which leaves us with that much space, which is 18's worth of digits, isn't it? But we know this 3 is consuming at least 2 of those digits, because the 3 could come down to row 3 column 9, but then it's going to have to take at least 2 cells up here. So now there are only 16 digits available for these two, and this is assuming that none of the 3 extra cells are up here, but there are 16 digits available for these 2 cells. Now that means, this is interesting. This is interesting. That means I know one of these is an 8 or a 9. So the other one can't also be an 8 or a 9. Because that would say these 2 cells needed 17's worth of space. And we know there's a maximum of 16's worth of space. And that means that is an 8 or a 9. Because if we can't put double 8, 9 here, we know that's not an 8, 9. So the other pear-treed 8, 9 is that square. But didn't we work out this square wasn't A? Or is that wrong? No, we did work that out. Yeah, because if that's A, you can't put A in blue. Right, so this is, I'm going to call this B. This is B, and that is A. A is up here, B is here, and B is 8 or 9. So it's quite big. B is 8 or 9. Oh, and B can't have 2 4's in it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, it could never have 2 4's in it. That's on a pear tree. What an idiot. I am. Sorry. But that's A. Okay. No, that doesn't matter, does it? Okay, so this region, it could go all the way up to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it definitely takes those squares in, for absolute certain. That's all part of this B's region. And now, is that helpful or not? Probably. What could we look for now? So we know that up here we've got a 6 or a 7, and the other is 8 or 9. I've got it. Ah, that's just such a sweet, sweet question. Thank you, Brain. That's probably the best question I could have asked. This is okay. How could this be 9 is the question I want to ask. And the answer is it can't be, for a beautiful reason. It can't be 9. Because if it was 9, it can't have a repeated digit in it. Because if it had a repeated digit in it, it needs to use a gold ring. So if it was a 9, it contains 1 of every digit. Where's its 2 coming from? How can we put a 2 into this light green region? That 2's not available to it because we'd have to go through a pear tree. That 2's not available to it. That 2's not available to it. That 2's not available to it. That 2 is too far away. So that is an 8. There we go. Now if that's 8 and that's B, and we know, yes, we know A and B are different. So now we know A is 9. So that's 9. Please let that do something. That's 7 now by the mathematics of this thingy that we had going. Right, so this now is 1, 6, 8. These squares are 7 and 9 in some order. So the 9, okay, we already knew that by our pencil marking, but there is a 9 in one of these two squares. Do we know more or not? Can we, having got this as being 9, does it actually help? Is the question. This 8 can't go to there now, can it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It never could, actually. It never could. Oh, this is weird. I thought this was just going to blow the puzzle open, but it hasn't at all. Or it probably has, but I've just got to figure out how. There must be an 8 in blue. Where does that live? I don't know is the answer, but one of those two squares. There must be... Where is 8 in box 5? It's in one of those squares. So 8 has now made an appearance. It's made its debut in purple. Is that useful? It means that's not an 8. So that's a 1 or a 6. 8 is not in these squares. 8 is not in that square. Oh, yes, okay. Where is 8 in box 6 then? And the answer is I haven't got a Scooby-Doo, but it's actually in a pair of digits there, which means I do get to place 8 in box 5, which is a small win. So the other digit, right, let's think about the other digits that I need to place in purple that I haven't placed in purple. Those digits are 1, 5, 6 and 7. Ooh, that's much worse than I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to label them up. 1, 5, 6 and 7. Now can we get rid of anything from that? We can get rid of 5 from this square. We can get rid of 7 from that square. Oh, no, this was a bad idea. This was a bad idea. Okay, let's try something different. 9 in this box is in orange. So 9 is in one of those two squares. 9. Oh, Bobbins face. I know one of these is a 9. So if the other was 7, we would have that situation where we had to force the 4 down there for what that's worth, which might not be anything. 1 has to make an appearance in blue. Actually, I hadn't... Oh, that's really obvious. I hadn't seen that. Look at that. Has that been available for ages? Maybe it hasn't. Maybe it's only been available since I looked. No, it has been available for ages. There must be a 1 in one of those squares, because that 1 needs to be in blue. So we actually get a 1 in column 1. Now 1 is not in those squares. So we'll get 5, 6s and 7s here. This one is not 5. Because of the 5 here, I didn't see that. So that's right down to 6 or 7 all of a sudden. Let's try... how do we do this now? Let's try this row. 1 6s and 7s to place. Yes, where's the 1 in row 5? It's only got one place, which is there. So this is a 6 or a 7. Let's double click. I've still only got 3 1s in the grid, so it's really not very helpful, is it? Wow, okay. 9 in box 1 is now in one of 2 places, and that does get me the 9 in box 4. Now, okay, so where is my 9 now in blue? And that's a good question, because it's only got one position. It's got to be there. Which means 7 is in one of these 2 squares. 7 is not here anymore now. Come on. 7 has made an appearance in green, so it can't make a second appearance in green. So 7 in box 6 is in one of these 2 squares. 7 can't reappear in green, so 7 is in one of those 2 squares. Oh, come on. Come on. I think we're closing in on a good situation here. So 5, 6 and 7 go into these cells, look. Which means 5 now has made an appearance in blue in box 4. And if 5 is in one of those squares, and I think it is, 5 cannot be here. Now why... Okay, well, I don't know why I had a... Yeah, okay, I did have a natural pencil mark. So that gets me a 5 now in this colour, which means this cell is 6 or 7 by Sudoku. And we've got 6, 7s and 8s to place. This square is not 7, obviously. That square can be anything. Wow, okay, come on. Alright, maybe we try row thingy, row 8. 1 6s and 8s to place. Let's label those up. Don't know what that means. Probably nothing. How can the 9s not be resolved? This is so mean. Ah. No. Yes. No, not really. Where's 9 in row 3? And I don't know is the answer. It's in one of 2 places. And therefore one of these will be a 9 in green, which is what we did have to achieve. So that's not brilliant. This is 6 or 7 now. And it can't bump into the pear tree, so it's at least taking these squares. Yeah, that's not great, is it? Yeah, I don't feel like that's where we're going to get our joy from. I think our joy is going to be from determining these last pear trees. We can take 8 out of both of these squares, actually, can't we? Because we've got a pear treed 8. So these are 6, 7s and 9s. Almost feels like there's something going on in this column. I can't quite see it. Okay, so 1. Is this a good... No, I don't think this is a good question. I was going to ask about 1 in row 2. I don't think it is going to reveal the secrets that we need to ask that question. Okay, so perhaps we need to turn our attention to there's probably some law of leftovers type trick that we need to think about with green, actually. What digits does green still need in it? Lots of digits. It needs 1, 5s, 6s. 1, 5, 6, 8, and 9. So that square, No, I still don't like it. Sorry. I'm desperately scanning this grid, trying to spot the weak points. I'm doing a terrible job of it. So these squares are from 5, 6, 7 and 8, which is a horrible pencil mark, but I'm just hoping to spot something of some value. One of these is a 9. The other is at least a 6. So that's 15 cells used up in the top of the grid, isn't it? At least. And we did work out, even if we pushed the 4 down there and the 3 took this square, how many cells did we get left with? 16 to play with. So it's not possible for this 4 to come up very high. If this 4 took 2 cells from the top, then we're in a situation where we haven't got 15 to play with. We've only got 14 to play with. So this 4 must take 2 cells downwards. And possibly this one as well. Now that means this 8, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 has to go at least to here. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? It would be lovely if that was a 6, because then that would force this to be a 7. In fact, it would be lovely if this went 1 further, because then that would have to be a 1-6 pair, and that would make this a 7. Or it would be lovely if this square had to be yellow, because that would achieve the same effect. It would push this down. So there's a lot of tension now in the top of this grid, these shapes and making sure they all fit in. But a lot of tension is not the same as there being absolute rigidity, which is what we need to get for there to be a logical deduction. I'm wondering about whether I'm meant to sort of colour 6s and 7s or something. Is that going to be necessary? It could be. The other option that would sort everything out would be if we knew neither of these was a 6, but I don't think we're there yet with that. 5 is definitely in one of those cells. I'll label that up while I see it. Ah, where's that digit in box 1? It's got to be in these two, doesn't it? So if this is 9, this is definitely 6. And if this is 9, this is definitely 6 or 8. So this square can never be 7 now. So 7 is definitely in these squares. I don't think that's going to do anything. This square is in one of those two. Yeah, that's been available for ages as well. Just using, it's a similar idea. This digit, whatever that digit is up here, isn't it? Which means these squares, which definitely include 7, are from 1, 6, 8 and 7. But we know so little about what's going on in the rows that we can't actually do much with that. Yes, I don't think we can. Yeah, it doesn't quite cut the mustard. Where's the breakthrough here? Where is the little rinky-dink that's going to allow us to finish this off? I don't know. Okay, this square. How can that ever be 9? It's got a 9 looking at it. Sorry. So this square is 1, 6 or 7. Can we do anything with that? I don't think so. One of these two squares is a 1. Don't think I know which one. No, I'm not sure. It would be really useful actually to know. What about I hope it's not going to be something like, I wonder if it's the fact that I've got to include a certain digit with whichever one of these is the 9 has got to have all of the digits in its region. Wow. Wow, it is that. Good grief. I mean, I was nowhere near that deduction. Right, okay. So what I'm now asking myself is, whichever one of these is 9 has to have one of every digit in its region, because it's got no gold rings. Where does it get its 4 from? Now, it can't be that 4, that's in a pear tree, and it can't be that 4, and it's got to be somewhere in the top of the grid, because this acts as a barrier, so it's got to be that 4. So my question now is it really possible for this to be 9? Because for that to be 9, and get that 4, and dodge this pear tree, it's got to be something like that, hasn't it? Maybe that's possible. I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just very surprised. Can we disprove that somehow? I don't know. I feel like, do I feel like that's likely to be the answer or not? The thing is, it's difficult because there are 3 floating digits, aren't they? So if this was a region, let's just block those in. We know that this would then be a 6 or a 7 that has to not buttress or butt up against this. So it's going to be taking those squares, isn't it? Yeah, okay, if this was 6, it would have to take this square, which would force that to be the shape of this top region if this was a 9. And that doesn't work. Wow, that's brilliant actually. It's absolutely brilliant. What I'm going to say finish, because I think this will finish the puzzle. Maybe that's wrong, but in fact it might be wrong, but it's certainly going to allow us to make progress. So let me just need to double check this logic, because it is very, very important. So I'm saying whichever one of these is a 9 needs a 4 in it. That's definitely this 4. If that's the 9, we've got to dodge the pear tree, and we've got to get there in 9 cells. So that is absolutely forced. I'm then saying this is a 6 or a 7 region that can't go as far as this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has to take that square, which forces this pattern. And the reason this breaks is, where does this digit go in row 1? So it can't repeat in its region because there are no gold rings, so it has to go there, and it's clearly not equal to 2. So that is not right. That's beautiful. Which means that this can't be the 9. This has to be the 9. These are in the same region, so we can extend that to there. Doesn't really tell us what the 3 is doing, does it? But it does mean this is a 6. And if this is a 6, this is going to have its own effect. That's now a 9, because remember, it was the same as that digit, wasn't it? And now that's a 7, that's a 6. So this is an 8. So these 2 squares are 5, 7 pair. That becomes a 7 pear tree over there. So now that's interesting as well, because this has got to grow. This has got to grow a lot. It can't bump into that pear tree, so it's full. It's all of these cells. And this is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's huge as well. That's huge as well. Has this been available for a while? Maybe this has been available for a while. I didn't see this at all. Okay, how far can this region get? 1, 2, I mean in the bottom row. It's only got one more cell to grow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can get that one, but these 3 are not part of a pear tree, and they're not part of the 10, 11 and 12 cell regions. So this little region, this sort of collection of digits down here, let's give them their very own colour. These 3 digits are the 3 digits in the overall 81 digits that aren't regioned, which means everything else in the puzzle is regioned, and that means that's got to be green, that's got to be red. Oh, and then the top's going to sort itself out. Well, that 3 has to join. That's got to be a region. This is now forced to come across here. This has to be in a region, so it can't be in this one's region. Well, let's give this a colour. We'll make this yellow, because that won't butt into any other yellows. 4 is done. The 9 can't get to that square without being too big, so those 2 are both yellow. That's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, that could be part of the 9 region. But surely this has helped, hasn't it? Don't know. Well, that can't be 8 now, so that's got to be 8. That's got to be 9 by Sudoku. We've probably got all the... Have we got all the 9? No. No, not at all. No, I really haven't got all the 9s. Bobbins. Oh dear. Okay, well these are not 6 anymore. Let's get rid of the corner pencil marked 5 and 7. 1, 5 and 6 are these squares at the top by Sudoku. That's not 6. Let's get rid of the corner marked 5. We might have to think about not repeating digits in the 9 region or something, but we'll worry about that in a second or two. There must be more Sudoku to be done. This square is a 1, 6. Ah, yeah, okay, that's interesting. That's a 1, 6 or a 7 by the middle box, and now I've got a 1, 6, 7 triple. So it means I haven't put 8 into this column, so that's got to be 8. That's no longer 8, look. Does this matter? Probably in some way. That digit's got to be one of these 2. Still don't know which one. 5, 7. So this is 1, 5 or 6 by Sudoku. Can't be 7 because 7's already appeared. So 8 is in one of these. No, it's still tricky. It's still resisting. Okay. That's surprising, but okay. Right, let's try. Oh, hang on. If that's 1, 5, 6, then I know this digit. Oh, Simon. Well, that's just true, isn't it? That's just a 7. So if that's a 7, that's not 7. That's not 7. So that's a 7 in box 5. 7 and 5 go in. I get a 1, 6 pair in this row. That's not 7 anymore. Okay. Alright, so does that do any more magic? Possibly, but I can't see it. 1, 5, 6 and 8 into these squares. 1, 5, 6, 8. But that's not 8. Now look at this. I've got a 1, 5, 6 triple within the 9 region. So it has to be a 7 because it can't repeat the digit. Wow. So that means that's a 5, so that's an 8, and that's a 7. And now surely I'm able to, yeah. So now that digit, which has to be regioned, can't be in the 9 region, which already has a 7. So that has to be yellow, which means the 8 beneath it must be yellow, which means that must be in the 9 region. We've not put 3 in the 9 region. It needs a 3. Where does it get it from? It's got to be that square. We have got 5 in it, so that 5 belongs to the yellow region, and hopefully we need a 2 in this region, which we do. So this is still looking quite useful. It still looks quite good to me. But the puzzle is not done. It's still resisting. Right, 6 comes out of these squares by Sudoku. Okay. That's great, but yeah, I'm pretty sure if you had the luck, not the luck, but the skill to spot the right exact places to look at while you were solving this, You could do it fairly quickly, I suspect. Let's go, an hour and a half. How can I be an hour and a half into this? I've only just started it. That's how wonderful this puzzle is the time has just flown by. Okay, so what does this mean? Remember this digit had to be the same as that digit, didn't it, in column 8? So that's no longer able to be 6. Which we could have seen had I even looked across the row and seen this was a 6. So this is 1 or 8. These two are the same. So by Sudoku, that digit therefore goes there, which means this square is a 1 or an 8. This is bizarre, isn't it? 1, 5, 6, 8 go there. Oh, I'm so angry. I'm not angry, but I'm so... Oh, look, this row will be where we have to look. 6 and 9. That's a 6-9 pair. Surely something... Oh, I've got a 6-9 pair here. Oh, no, I've got a 1-8 pair as well. You're kidding me. No. No. You rotten thing. Wow. Okay. What's it going to be then? I don't know. I'm not sure. No, I'm really not sure. 6. I know one of these is 8. Is it going... Oh, 5. Look, it's looking at these squares now. Okay, which means that must be 5. That must be 6. That's done it, hasn't it? So that's 6. That's 1. 6 filters its way through the purple region, gets those squares done. And now this is a 1-8 pair. Oh, this 6 is looking at everything. So that's 9. That's 5. That's 6. That's 9. And hopefully, right, this 1 is looking at this square. So now that's become a 6. That's become a 1. That's become a 6. 6, 1. And we've got this funny pattern of 1s and 8s left, which is finally resolved. And now I can put the black linings all over the puzzle, which will make me feel like I'm a completionist. And do something like that, and then this, and then that. And I'll miss one out, and everyone will get cross with me. But look, this puzzle is something like that as a solved solution. That is brilliant. 9 people. Okay. All right, that makes me feel a little bit better. That didn't actually... I think it's got 4 stars out of 5 for difficulty on Logic Masters. And that feels like a 5-star puzzle to me. Because there's quite a lot to do. There's a lot... Yeah, there's so many interesting things to think about in that. You know, the disposition of the... Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on here. There really is. You've got to notice the pear trees have to be the digits 1 to 9. Then notice that to have regions bigger than that, you need to consume all 9 gold rings and what numbers go in them. Then you've got to work out how those numbers must be resolved. Then you've got to draw the patterns for the 10, 11 and 12 regions. Then what do we do after that? Well, then it's sort of this weird irregular Sudoku where you're trying to keep track of what numbers you need to put in the pear trees. And then even then that idea I had about trying to put a 2 into that cell, or that if it was a 9, that didn't feel an easy spot. I was actually pleased with that deduction. It's a brilliant puzzle, IcyFruit. That is a brilliant puzzle. I'm so sorry if I've taken up a lot of your Christmas period here. If you are watching this video and you're thinking, I was just after a little bit of a boxing day, second helping of Christmas pudding, and Simon's just slugged me with this one. Well, I'm sorry about that, but I am not sorry I solved that, because that IcyFruit, again, is just a world-class Sudoku puzzle. Fantastic. Christmas themed as well. I will leave it to you to determine the rest of the lyrics of the 12 regions of Christmas. Drop me a comment, let me know how you got on, let me know your lyrics. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.